What if I told you that giving up intimacy after 60 could quietly shorten your life? Not just your happiness, your health, your memory, even your will to wake up excited each day. Most people think it's just about pleasure, but it's not. It's about your brain, your heart, your purpose. I'm Dr. James. For more than 30 years, I've helped thousands of older adults reclaim their vitality and connection. And here's the truth. When we stop seeing sex and closeness as luxury and start treating them as essential to healthy aging, everything changes. You might believe it's too late. That part of you is gone. But I'm here to show you why it's not, and how you can bring it back, gently, naturally, and meaningfully. Because 4 major things begin to decline the moment intimacy disappears, and you deserve to know what they are before it's too late. Stay with me. The first one might surprise you most. It starts not in your body, but in your mind. 1. Your brain begins to age faster. I'll never forget George. He was 72, a retired math teacher. He came to my clinic with a simple concern. "Doc, I'm forgetting names, losing focus. I just don't feel sharp." Physically, he was fine, no dementia, no serious diagnosis. But when we talked more, he mentioned something quietly. He hadn't been intimate, not even once, since his wife passed away 5 years earlier. That detail may seem small, but it wasn't. Here's why. Sexual intimacy sends powerful signals to the brain. It boosts blood flow. It stimulates memory centers. It floods the system with dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, chemicals that protect your mind and lift your mood. When that stops, your brain starts to dim, focus fades, energy drops. Even curiosity and motivation decline. And over time, this accelerates cognitive aging. You don't need performance, you need connection. Even gentle touch and closeness can keep your emotional and memory circuits alive. When that's missing, people often begin to withdraw. They become less social, less sharp, less alive. But here's the good news. It's never too late to reignite those pathways and reclaim that mental spark that helps you feel like yourself again. Let me show you what happens next. Because the brain is only the beginning. Your body is listening too. And when touch disappears, it reacts in ways most people never notice until it's too late. 2. Your body loses vital circulation and hormonal balance. Let me take you back to Linda and Carl. They were both in their late 60s, married nearly 4 decades. But over the last 5 years, their connection had gone quiet. No arguments, no drama, just silence. "I guess that part of life is over," Linda told me, her voice gentle. Carl agreed, but something was off. He'd gained weight, lost muscle, his energy was low. He said, "I don't feel like myself anymore." What we uncovered was something I see far too often. When intimacy stops, circulation slows. Your blood vessels become less responsive. Oxygen delivery to vital organs drops. The cardiovascular benefits that come from touch and arousal disappear. But there's more. Sexual activity helps regulate hormones. For men, testosterone levels can plunge without stimulation, leading to fatigue, weight gain, and even depression. For women, estrogen and oxytocin decline, raising the risk of joint pain, bone loss, and mood changes. These aren't minor issues. They affect your strength, your independence, your long-term health. And the change is slow. So slow you barely notice it. You stop walking as far. You skip the gym. You sleep poorly. You think, this is just what getting old feels like. But what if it's not? What if your body is reacting not to age, but to disconnection? Here's the truth. You don't need intercourse to feel the benefits. Gentle affection, touch, even emotional closeness can revive those hormonal and circulatory systems. It's not about performance, it's about presence. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to bring your body back into rhythm. But the damage doesn't stop there. There's something even deeper at risk, something that can quietly unravel a lifetime bond. Let's talk about that next. 3. Your relationship and self-worth may quietly suffer. There's a silence that settles in long-term relationships, not a loud one, not filled with arguments, just heavy. I once sat with Margaret, 74 years old, her husband a cancer survivor. The treatments had saved him, but they'd also stolen something. She leaned forward, eyes glassy, and whispered, "I miss being touched. I miss feeling like his partner, not just his caregiver." That kind of distance isn't always physical. It's emotional, and it's dangerous. When intimacy disappears, many couples stop reaching out. They stop initiating. They start wondering if they're still wanted, or worse, if they even matter. And here's the cruel part. Most don't talk about it. They adapt. They grow quiet. They become strangers living under the same roof. But it's not just couples. Even those who are single can feel this silent erosion. When you stop believing you're worthy of closeness, you begin to shrink, not just in body, but in spirit. Your sense of identity fades. Your self-worth dims. And before you realize it, you've stopped showing up for life. This isn't just emotional. It can lead to depression, anxiety, even serious health issues. Because the human soul was never meant to live without connection. But it doesn't have to stay this way. I've seen people in their 70s start flirting again. I've seen couples hold hands for the first time in years, not because their bodies were the same, but because they dared to reach for one another again. And yet, even with all this emotional weight, there's one final consequence that may be the most serious of all. Because when intimacy fades, it's not just your heart that suffers, it's your time on this earth. Let me show you what the science says next. 4. You may be shortening your life without knowing it. I once met a man named Robert. He was 81, sharp as ever, walking tall, eyes bright. But it wasn't his heart rate or blood pressure that impressed me. It was the way he lit up when he talked about his wife. "We flirt every morning," he said with a grin. "Hold each other every night. And once in a while, we still make love." It wasn't bravado. It was connection. And what Robert didn't know is that science backs him up. Study after study confirms the same thing. Older adults who maintain physical intimacy tend to live longer, not because of performance, but because of presence. Touch, closeness, affection. These things release oxytocin, endorphins, and dopamine. They reduce inflammation, lower cortisol, and protect the heart. In fact, a long-term study published in the British Medical Journal found that seniors with regular intimacy had significantly lower mortality rates than those without it. That's not theory, that's data. When intimacy disappears, stress stays elevated, sleep suffers, the immune system weakens, loneliness creeps in, and health begins to decline in very real, measurable ways. But I've also seen the opposite. I've watched couples in their 70s and 80s rekindle that spark, and their vitality returned with it. That light is still inside you. It's never too late. And no matter how long it's been, you can bring it back. Let me show you how in the next section. 5. It's never too late to start again. I remember Eleanor. She was 78, poised, kind, and graceful in every word, but there was pain in her voice when she said, "I miss feeling like a woman, not someone's patient, not someone's grandmother, just a woman. It had been nearly a decade since she'd felt a loving touch. She had convinced herself that part of life was behind her. But what she didn't know, and what I've seen again and again, is this. The human spirit can reawaken at any age. Whether you're 60 or 90, whether it's been weeks or years, the truth remains. As long as you're alive, intimacy is still possible. It doesn't begin with a perfect night or a grand gesture. Sometimes it begins with a quiet look, a small laugh, a hand held a second longer. For couples, that first step back may feel awkward, but the reward is often a bond more honest and more open than anything before. And if you're alone, widowed, divorced, or simply by yourself, this message is still for you. Because intimacy starts with you, with how you care for your body, how you speak to yourself, how you open your heart to life again. Whether through gentle touch, a new connection, or simply allowing yourself to hope again, the door isn't closed. The only question is, are you willing to try? Your next chapter could be the one you never saw coming. 6. Conclusion: reclaiming connection, confidence, and a life fully lived. If you've stayed with me this far, I want to thank you, not just for watching, but for being open. Because these conversations about sex, aging, and intimacy, they're not always easy. They stir up memories, fears, maybe even grief. But here's what I've learned after decades of listening to people just like you: the desire to be seen, to be held, to be cherished. It never disappears. It just gets buried beneath the weight of time and silence. We've explored how your brain begins to fade without intimacy, how your body loses circulation and hormonal balance, how relationships grow quiet, and how, yes, your life expectancy can be impacted. But none of these are a life sentence. I've watched couples find each other again after decades of distance. I've seen widows smile as they rediscover their beauty. I've helped men feel strong and worthy once more. And the one thing they all shared? They gave themselves permission to begin again, not to chase the past, but to honor the present, to say, I am still here, I am still worthy, and I still deserve love. This chapter of your life, it doesn't have to be quiet. It can be full of warmth, joy, connection. So if something inside you is whispering, maybe I could try, listen to it. You don't need to fix it all today. You don't need a roadmap. You just need one step, a touch, a truth, a moment of hope. Because you're not done, not even close. And if no one's told you lately, you deserve to feel alive, connected, and deeply loved. Not someday, not in memory, but now. Let this be the beginning of something new. If this message touched you, please like the video, share it with someone you care about, and leave a comment below. Whether it's a simple one or a piece of your own story, your words matter, and they may be exactly what someone else needs to hear.